Alright, so today we're going to be doing some solving systems with elimination method. So yesterday we've been doing problems where we had to do some substitution. We had to isolate for one of the variables. So staring at these two equations, which one looks simpler than the other? But does it look that much easier than the other one? They're pretty much the same problem, right? Now watch, I'm going to show you something brand new. There's this thing that you can do where you can add or subtract entire equations. So if you take a look at these two equations, what if I just added them in columns? What would happen here? Well, 2x plus 3x, what's that going to give? And look at this, 7y plus negative y, or 7 plus negative 7, what is that? 0. And then 13 plus 2. So what does that make x? So what students will find is that this method is actually a lot simpler than that substitution method. Now this one was set up that it was really easy because obviously you have a plus 7 and a minus 7. They match other than the sign, and then you just have to add them. Other ones aren't so easy, but I'll show you how to do those ones as well. So then once you have x equals 3, you have to sub it in to one of the equations. So I'll just pick one, it doesn't matter which one. So sub back into one equation. It doesn't matter which equation you pick, I just picked the bottom one randomly. The bottom one says 3x, which is 3 times 3, minus 7y is 2. 9 minus 7y is 2. So how would you solve this bottom thing that I have set up? Like, in my opinion, it would be nice to have that 7y positive. See how it's negative right now? So I would pick this guy up and move him here. So minus 7 on the left will be plus 7 on the right. So then that 2 has to move as well. Bring this 2 over. 9 take away 2 is... Okay, so this... You have 9 take away 2 equals positive 7. 7 equals 7. Y is 1. In this example, we added the two equations. In the next example, I'll show you when you would want to subtract. So, before we move on to the next one, the reason we added was because the coefficients that were the same number had a plus and a minus. So if you have a plus and a minus, you want to add the two equations. In this next example, whoops, just need to add a page here. In this next example, you'll see that you're going to want to subtract. So stare at this example. You just have to subtract. So 2x take away 2x. What happens in that column? Goes away, you get 0. 6y take away 3y. And then 6 minus 4.5. Is that 1.5? Now what do I divide by? Divide by 3. 1.5 divided by 3 is half. Now once you know what y is, what do you have to do? Sub it back into one of the equations. I'm going to try the top equation. I'm going to try a top equation because I think it'll work out nicely. So I got 2x plus 6 times y is 1/2, equals 6. 2x plus 3 equals 6. How did I get the 3y? Or this 3 down here? Half of 6? 6 times 1/2? 3. Half of 6. Now you isolate the term involving x. You get 2x is 3. Divide by 2. X is 3/2. Okay, so now the question that I'm going to write down now, this is what you'll see on the similar to an exam style question. So when you look at these two equations, can you just eliminate anything by adding or subtracting? Like, what if you added the two equations? What would you get? If you added, you'd have 6x. That doesn't go away. If you add 3 and a minus 1, you get 2. That doesn't go away. So you can't add them. Can you subtract them? If you subtract, do you get zeros? So you have to do this extra step at the beginning. If you look at the 2 and the 4, they're really close in the sense that if I just times 2 by 2, then I'd have 4, right? So this is a skill that you can now use. Times the left by 2 times the right by 2. And I chose 2 on purpose. It won't always be 2. It'll just be a number that will get you to a common multiple. So then when you times the left side by 2, what do you get? 4x plus 6y equals 8. And the bottom equation I never touched. So remember, whatever you do to the left side, you do to the right side, and that's okay. Now what can you do? Should I add these two equations or should I subtract these two equations? Yeah, you should subtract. Because then 4 take away 4, the x is going to get eliminated. So subtract. What's 4 take away 4? 0. Now here comes a tough one. And then I always like to read this in my head. 6 take away, so 6 subtract a negative. What happens when you subtract negatives? You add. So this is 6 plus 1. This is 7y. And then 8 take away 22. Thinking that's negative 14. Divide both sides by 7. Y is negative 2. Once you know y is negative 2, go sub it in to one of the equations. And usually you're going to want to try and choose the easier one. So we have 4x take away y, and y is negative 2. And that will all equal 22. So you get 4x plus 2 equals 22. Minus 2, minus 2. 4x is 20. Divide by 4, divide by 4. X is 5. Alright, so when we do this equation, or this system, you'll see that there's no easy number that you can times by. Like if you look at this system here, can I just make a 3 look like a 5 by doing something simple? Or can I make a 3 look like a 7 for the b's? Is there anything simple that I can do there? you can't just manipulate one of them. In fact, you have to manipulate both. So like what could you do to the 5a and the 3a to make them the same number? Times the top one by and the bottom one by. So it's almost identical to like when you're trying to find a lowest common denominator when you're adding fractions. It's the similar process. It's the same underlying principle, LCM. So multiply left-hand side and right-hand side by LCM. And that LCM is not by the LCM. I'm going to put to the LCM. So like you guys said, times the top equation by 3 and times the bottom equation by 5. And that will help you eliminate which variable? A. We're going to remove A. And then we can solve for B. Once you have B, sub it back into one of the equations and get A. Okay, so first equation, what do we have? 15a. Next one, help me out. 9b, good, equals 9, good. Second equation. 15a, negative 35b, good, and 81 times 5. 405. Now what should I do with these two equations? Add them or subtract them? What would happen if you added? 15a and 15a make 30a. We don't want that. We want it to go to 0a. So what do we have to do? Subtract. 15 take away 15, 0. That's what we want. Now take a look at the second column. What do you have to do there? Second column, what are you doing? You're subtracting a negative. That's going to be very realistic for you guys, so you have to be aware. So 9 plus 35, 44. And 9 take away 405. Minus 396. What do I divide by? 44. And you get B as negative 9. Once you know B is negative 9, go sub it into one of them. Pretty sure I chose the harder one. So let's try the easier one. Try the top one. 5a plus 3b, but b is negative 9, equals 3. And just sub it back into the original. You don't have to sub it back into like the scaled versions. So then we have a 5a minus 27 is 3. Add 27 to both sides. 5a is 30, a is 6. Okay, so there's 4 options for you. They are ranging in difficulty from easy to medium. A and B are easy, C and D are medium. So you have 15 minutes to try these, and then we'll start the E and N.